Good murders, good murders. Sunbeams will soon shine through. Good murders for you and you and you and you. We're going full 2015 YouTuber where you smack your hands together to sync the audio and see if you can make sense of whatever shit show is going on right now, because I don't know how this works. The microphone on my camera works, so we'll just have to see if the microphone that I spent money on works. So you may have noticed that I've not been here for a while. 1, I moved. 2, I'm pregnant. So that made filming very, very hard. We moved here in August, which I think is the last time I touched this channel, maybe in July. But what happened was I got pregnant in July, and then I moved in August, and then all the symptoms hit me at once, and I was so sick, and I didn't have the energy to do anything until recently. Also, a lot happened. We moved, I got pregnant, I got a job, I lost a job, I got another job. That job turned out to be fraudulent and the company didn't exist and they were breaking the law. Also, I slept for most of it because that's what pregnancy does to you. If you're not interested in any of this and you just want to skip to the murder, skip to this timestamp here, because the first like 30 seconds to 60 seconds is just going to be me catching up. Because, you know, I've had a lot of exciting things has happened. I now officially live with Ethan.
Are you on camera?
Yes.
Oh, I love all of you. Hi. Me. That's for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're both on the name, and that's really exciting. He is now teacher training, also very exciting because he's so chipper all the time and it's really cute. Yeah, also I'm growing kid. From the scan, we had the 20-week scan on, well, this is going up on the 1st of December, and I had the 20-week scan on the 27th of November, and I am having a baby girl, which is what I wanted, because, you know, who really needs more men? Like, yeah, so for the first trimester, I essentially slept through most of it, and then when I was awake, I was vomiting, so I didn't really feel like talking about murders, especially the one I'm going to talk about today, which is the alphabet murders. The alphabet murders. Welcome back. I can't remember anything I'm doing. It's been a long time since I've been on this one, so we're just gonna crime. On the 16th of November 1971, 10-year-old Carmen Colon went to the pharmacy as instructed by her grandmother to go and pick up her prescription. She left quickly after learning the prescription hadn't yet been processed, telling the shop owner, I gotta go. She was then seen running through the pharmacy car park. 3 hours later, she was reported missing to the police. After 50 minutes of her disappearance being officially reported, scores of motorists saw her running along Interstate 490, half naked from the waist down, running away from a moving, reversing vehicle. It looked like her abductor had let her go very, very quickly and was on his way back to pick her up. Now, these motorists didn't do anything. They just watched as she was very calmly led back to the car. 2 days later, 2 teenage boys discovered Carmen Colon's partially nude body close to the village of Churchville, about 12 miles from where she had been seen running away from her abductor. Her coat was discovered 300 yards away, and her trousers were found on November 30th near where she had been taken. The autopsy revealed that she had been raped, skull fractured, back fracture, and eventually strangled to death. And her body had been extensively scratched by fingernails. Both her murder and the fact that nobody who had seen her tried to help her caused public outrage. The Times-Union and the Democrat Chronicles, 2 New York newspapers, put together a combined reward of $2,500 for any information that would lead to an arrest. Numerous police locals, officials, leaders of the community put together more money, and the eventual reward totaled $6,000 for any information that would lead to any kind of result on this horrendous case. Police interrogated several suspects, but as of December 21st, 1971, they had nothing. In early 1972, 5 billboards were put along the interstate where Carmen went missing. There were 8 feet pictures of Carmen with the headline, "Do you know what happened to Carmen Colon?" They had addresses and phone numbers that you could contact if you had any information regarding this murder. And each billboard offered a $6,000 reward for any information that would lead to an arrest. The tactic got several new leads, but it didn't lead to anything more than that. It just gathered some interest and a little bit of extra information, but nothing that would lead to an arrest or a suspect being found. 17 months later, Wanda Welkowicz was on her way to run an errand for her family. On April 2nd, 1973, 11-year-old Wanda was missing. She headed out at 5 p.m. and was reported missing by her mother at 8 p.m. Police immediately launched a search for Wanda. Unfortunately, the next day at 10:15 a.m. her body was found. She was fully clothed, unlike Carmen, and she was found in Webster. The damage to her body suggested that she had been likely thrown from a moving vehicle into a ditch on the side of the road. The autopsy revealed she had been sexually assaulted and strangled from behind with a ligature, most likely a belt. It looked like the same MO as Carmen, leading police to believe that these murders were in fact connected. Several defensive wounds were found, showing that Wanda didn't give up too easily. She fought her murderer. The autopsy found traces of semen, pubic hair, and white cat fur. Wanda didn't own a cat of that colour, and obviously she didn't own any pubic hair or semen, being an 11-year-old girl. A reward of $10,000 was collected for any information that would lead to an arrest. Again, she had been seen by loads of people, and nobody had gone forward to help her. The Rochester Police Department dismissed any link between the two murders. However, the sergeant who was in charge of the Carmen Colon murder was reassigned to take over Wanda Welkowicz. 7 months later, on the evening of November 26, 1973, 11-year-old Michelle Mayenza had gone missing. She didn't come home from school, and she was last seen by her classmates at 3:20 p.m. There was a witness who saw her in the passenger seat of a car, and another who saw her with a strange man who had grabbed her by the wrist. When the witness approached them and tried to find out if it was in fact Michelle, the man grabbed her by the wrist and threw her behind his back. Michelle's body was found on November 28th in the town of Mayston, approximately 15 miles from Rochester. In addition to blunt force trauma on the back of the head, she had also been raped, strangled from behind with a ligature, and numerous strands of white cat fur were found on her clothing. Investigators were also able to pull a partial palm print off her body and underwear, and traces of semen. A forensic report and analysis did conclude that she was sexually assaulted by one person. 3 unsolved child murders. It's not going to go down well with the public, and it certainly didn't. Out of 800 suspects interviewed by the police, none were conclusive. And to this day, the case remains unsolved. The girls did have a few things in common. They hailed from a Catholic family, they had poor performances in school, they had issues with bullying, and they had few friends. Authorities weren't quick to rule out the fact that it could be someone in a position of power who sympathised with these girls, gaining their trust and making sure that they followed him. The similarities between all the murders, they were prepubescent girls, pre-adolescent, who disappeared in Rochester on days of light or heavy rain. Their bodies were found in adjoining counties. They had double letter names, and wherever they were found also began with the letter of their name. Michelle was found in Mayston, Wanda was found somewhere else, and Carmen was found elsewhere. But it began with a C, and Wanda's began with a W. But I remember Michelle's because that was the one I've just read. The MO was exactly the same. The body damage suggested that they'd been thrown from a car. They were raped and strangled with a ligature. There were a few suspects. Miguel Colon was suspected in the case of Carmen. He was her uncle. On many occasions, Carmen did go to collect prescriptions from the pharmacy unattended. She would usually walk with her grandfather Felix, but this time she was like, I'm going on my own. And Miguel, 4 days after the murder of his niece, did relocate to Puerto Rico, saying he had done something wrong in Rochester. Weeks prior to the child's abduction and murder, he had been seen purchasing a car that was very similar to the one that Carmen had been seen being taken away in. And afterwards, this car had been thoroughly cleaned. He was unable to provide a physical alibi for the murder, even though police did go to Puerto Rico to extradite him back to the US to try and find exactly what he had done. He couldn't provide an alibi, he had no evidence to say that he wasn't there, but also there was very little evidence to say that he was. He later committed suicide at the age of 44 after shooting his wife and brother. Another suspect was Dennis Termini, or otherwise known as the garage rapist of Rochester. He was known to have committed a minimum of 14 rapes between 1971 and 73, all of teenage girls and very young women. 5 weeks before the murder of Michelle, he was seen trying to abduct a teenage girl at gunpoint. He later fled the scene and tried to abduct another girl. He shot himself in the head after being captured by police. In 2007, his body was exhumed to get a DNA sample, and it was found he was not responsible for the murders of the girls. Another suspect is Kenneth Bianchi, a famous American serial killer at the time of the Alphabet murders. He was active around that time, and he and his brother were known as the Hillside Stranglers, killing young girls by strangling. But he vehemently said that this wasn't him. He admitted to the other murders of the Hillside Strangling, but he was like, no, this isn't me, you're not pinning this on me, I didn't do this. Joseph Naso was a final suspect who murdered prostitutes in Vegas, all with double names, so double initials, same initial for the first and last name. So very similar, but his DNA was not a match to any of the DNA found on the girls, but he was sentenced to death for the murder of 4 prostitutes. And that's all there is on the Alphabet murders. This case still officially remains unsolved, so there's not a lot of information about who did it or what was going on. All we have is the evidence to go on. But all 4 of the main suspects were found not guilty. There wasn't enough evidence to suggest that they did or didn't do it. Apart from Miguel. Miguel wasn't vehemently ruled out by DNA sample or anything like that, so, you know, it could very possibly be him. However, he has no connection to the other 2 girls, and he did disappear after Carmen's murder, so it's very unlikely he did it to the 2 others. But we will have to hope that somebody comes to fruition on this one. I haven't been as bubbly as I normally am. This is a very interesting case to me, but I don't really feel very about child murders. It's not something I can really up the energy on, just because of what it is. It's not very nice at all, is it? It's unpleasant at the best of times, especially now that I'm going to be a mum. Like, it was hard before, but now I'm pregnant. It's like, oh, kids, I can't. This is really upsetting. But I will be back. I'm going to be uploading on this channel every 2 weeks instead of every week, because I'm working on a lot of other stuff. And these videos take a really long time to research and plan. And I'm sick a lot because I'm pregnant, and then when the baby gets here I'll be busy, so I'll be back every 2 weeks. So if you like true crime, if you like the supernatural, subscribe to stick around. I will be back. I'll be back next time with a video on Eastern State Penitentiary and the hauntings that go on there, and after that we'll be talking about Dennis Nielsen. It was also recently that David Tennant thing, which is why I was really interested in putting that together. But I will see you next time at another rate when I have a bit more energy, because, you know, you can't really get too excited about the murders of children. So bye.